and this is where the primary low, the present low, is going to what we call fizzle out, and then it's going to transfer its energy off the North Carolina, South Carolina coast and develop that nor'easter blizzard as it heads up the eastern seaboard. So as we look at the timeline for you, southern Delaware and southern New Jersey, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Friday night. So you still have a good 24 to 36 hours. I-95 metro area, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. and not until after 1 o'clock in the morning on Saturday in the Lehigh Valley. And the storm will have many different impacts, some of them very major. Meteorologist Cecily Tynan has that part of the story.
That's exactly right, Adam. When the snow begins on Friday night, it'll begin light. However, the height of the storm, 12 hours between 5 o'clock Saturday morning and 5 o'clock in the evening. This is when the snow will be falling at 1 to 3 inches per hour. That will create virtually whiteout conditions. Also, winds gusting 40 to 65 miles per hour, 40 mile an hour inland, 65 mile an hour along the shore. So with that heavy wet snow, those high gusty winds, I would prepare for power outages. I think there's a good possibility we will see some widespread power outages. And also with the visibility, with the snow piling up at that rate, most roads will be impassable. So that's why a state of emergency has been posted. That's why you need to stay home and stay off the road. So what to expect as far as precipitation types? This will mainly be a snow event for most of our viewing area. The exception, though, along the coast, right along the immediate coastline, Cape May County, this is where it will be mainly rain. You've got that warm ocean, and that will have an effect. Then you get just a little bit farther, Atlantic City and Millville towards Dover. This is where we will see snow changing over to a mixture of snow and rain, a little bit of sleet. But in Philadelphia, this is going to be a snow event. I also want to talk about not what's happening at the surface, what's happening 5,000 feet into the atmosphere, because this is why the winds will be so fierce at the shore. There's something called the low-level jet. It's a river of very strong winds higher in the atmosphere, 65 to 85 mile or 80 mile an hour winds. And what this does, it's tremendous transport for moisture to pull it in from the Atlantic, and also that will generate those strong winds down at the shore. So this will be the biggest test for the shore since Hurricane Sandy, and these are the times, 3 tide cycles, moderate to major flooding, 6:45 on Saturday morning, 7:09 Saturday evening, and Sunday 7:26. Now we have made a slight adjustment to our expected snowfall map. Adam will talk about that coming up in a few minutes. Back to you guys.
Okay, thank you, Cecily. Meantime, Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf just declared a state of emergency ahead of the storm. That is a formal step that'll free up money and resources to deal with the storm.
Wolf also urged everyone to use common sense, to stay prepared, and to look after one another.
If you can, take the time to look after your neighbors and your family. Make sure that elderly family members, elderly neighbors, that they have everything they need, and all the food they need, that they're warm, and that they're all ready to go through whatever this weather gives us.
Meanwhile, PennDOT crews are already working to treat the roads and stay ahead of the weather. John Rollins continues our team coverage live in Hunting Park. John.
Hi, Shari. Well, behind me, just a little bit of PennDOT's 131,000 tons it has on hand to deal with things in this area we call District 6. Over here in this direction, about a dozen, maybe a dozen and a half of the trucks, the plow trucks, the 477 plow trucks it will have and can use in the next 24 to 48 hours. Earlier today, other trucks were out at work. A preemptive strike. PennDOT brining major highways today, spraying a salt water mixture that will work as a de-icing agent. It works more efficiently than conventional rock salt in the early going of a snowstorm.
Once that dries, it leaves a salt residue. So there is some salt on the surface. It also prevents, like during bigger events, when we get heavy accumulations, it prevents the snow from bonding to the roadway.
That's critical because it reduces the chance of a road icing up. We met John Krafchek in PennDOT's control center. Feeds from some 300 cameras displayed here will give staff key information during a storm. All week long, the agency has been doing plow repairs and preventive maintenance. For PennDOT, storms can have pluses and minuses. In this case, one plus coming on a weekend, not weekday.
Big plus, because we won't be dealing with a morning or evening rush hour. Those usually bind our trucks up and we end up in backup.
But it appears there would be plenty of negatives. Among them, this morning PennDOT was planning on about a 24-hour-long storm that might at times dump 1 to 2 inches of snow an hour. Plows take about 2.5 to 3.5 hours to complete a circuit.
If it's snowing 2 inches per hour, by the time they get back there, there's going to be at least 4 inches of snow in that roadway. So with this storm, our roads will be snow covered. They'll be passable. However, they'll be difficult to travel on.
In other words, it would be safer to stay off the roads during the pending storm. If you must consider going out, PennDOT now has a 511 website and a phone app that can be tailored to track its plow trucks in real time, but only on interstate highway. Well, what we heard from PennDOT today, we've heard before, and no doubt we'll hear many times in the next 24 to 48 hours. If you don't have to go out during this storm, it looks like it's going to be a major storm with a lot of wind, don't. Live in Hunting Park, John Rollins, Channel 6 Action News. Rick?
All right, John, thank you. Well, the forecast has Delaware seeing some of the highest snow totals this weekend. Action News reporter Chad Berdelli continues our live team coverage in Newark. Chad.
Hey Rick, preparations well underway here in Delaware as crews have been getting I-95 and other roadways prepared for Mother Nature. Now, about a couple of hours ago, we were about a quarter mile from here at a salt yard, and here was the scene as some of the salt spreaders were being loaded, the brine trucks filled. Now, DelDOT officials say brine has been applied to most roads over the past few days, and that will continue into tonight. The transportation agency is preparing for the worst, which it says is possibly 2 feet. It'll have 450 pieces of equipment on the roads, 150 personnel, and other subcontractors on standby.
We have ample supplies of salt for this event. We're good for fuel, we're good for equipment, and now it's just waiting for the event to really start to happen.
Just know that it's going to be a long event. We might not get right to your road or your area right away. We have to focus on the interstate, the primaries, and then we go out to the secondaries and the roads that go on after that.
And DelDOT also has a phone application like PennDOT that it says it wants people to download so they can see in real time where the plows are. I'm live in Newark, Delaware. Chad Berdelli, Channel 6 Action News.
All right, Chad, thank you. Well, this may not grab the headlines of the big snow totals, but one of the biggest issues we could see this weekend could be coastal flooding. This storm is expected to cause some pretty major beach erosion, and it's going to be a test for those protections that were built up since Superstorm Sandy.